Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we'll be ranking all the Red Dead Redemption 2 villains from each chapter by categorizing them as either moderate or evil. You might notice that there is no good category, and that's because Red Dead Redemption 2's world is shaped by morally complex and often brutal characters, making it rare for an antagonist to be considered truly good. Since Milton and the Pinkertons act as antagonists throughout the entire game, we'll save our discussion on them for the end. So let's dive in. We begin with the first chapter, which is Coulter, with the Colm O'Driscoll as the main villain. While Colm isn't heavily represented in Chapter 1, Colm is known for leading the O'Driscoll gang, a grouping famous for its violent raids, robberies, and ruthless killings. He shows little regard for innocent lives and frequently uses brutal tactics to instill fear and control. Colm demonstrates a willingness to manipulate and deceive others to achieve his goals. An example of this is when he proposes a supposed truce with Dutch as a ruse to kidnap and torture Arthur Morgan. His willingness to betray and torture him makes it exceptionally cruel. Unlike characters motivated purely by self-preservation of power, Colm often goes out of his way to cause pain and suffering, indicating a callous disregard for human life. This is evident in his merciless tactics and the way he uses violence as a tool to control and dominate. That's why Colm O'Driscoll is ranked evil. In Chapter 2, the main villain is Leviticus Cornwall. Cornwall is a ruthless industrialist driven by a relentless pursuit of power and profit. His primary goal is to destroy the Vandalian gang due to the interference with his business, like robbing the train, often using the Pinkertons and hiring guns to hunt them. His motivations are more rooted in his business and control than outright sadism and malice. Thus he sits in a morally grey area, bordering on evil due to his lack of empathy, but without the same personal malice as others. Cornwall represents the cold, oppressive march of industrialization that Red Dead Redemption 2 criticizes. He exploits labourers, suppresses dissent, and colonizes power, making him a driving force of the societal changes and hardship faced by everyday people. Cornwall's character balances from between moderate and evil. Due to his motivation, he is not purely sadistic or monstrous, as many of his actions are rooted in maintaining control and eliminating threats to his business empire. However, his disregard for human life, willingness to use violence, and unrelenting pursuit of the gang push him further towards evil. It reflects the darker aspects of the industrial power and ruthless capitalism, making him a more complex and morally representative antagonist. In Chapter 3, there are two main villains, which is the Grey family and the Braithwaite families, which are very rich aristocrat families that operate in the Wild West. The Grey family we're gonna categorize as moderate, because the Grey family, like the Braithwaites, are apart from an old Southern aristocratic legacy that has descended into infighting and corruption. But unlike outright sadistic characters, their motivations are more rooted in family pride, historical graveness, and a desire to maintain dominance over their rivals, rather than causing harm purely for pressure on melees. Even though the Greys use the Vandalian gang as a pause in their front with the Braithwaites, tricking Arthur, Dutch, and others into performing tasks that benefit their interests while setting up a trap, this manipulation highlights their ruthlessness, but is driven primarily by the desire to win field and not by sadistic enjoyment of violence. That's why they are categorized moderate. Unlike the Braithwaite family, which are categorized as evil, the Braithwaites under Kathleen Braithwaite's leadership inhabit greater ruthlessness than the Greys. Their kidnapping of John Master to hurt Vandalian gang is a clear example of their willingness to inflict suffering to achieve their goals. This act alone demonstrates their capacity of cruelty, pushing them towards the evil category. Catherine Braithwaite's role as the cold, calculating matriarch of the family underscores the lengths she will go in order to maintain power and settle scores. The Braithwaites are also involved in slave trade, further highlighting their moral corruption and oppressive practices. The exploitation demonstrates their willingness to harm others for personal gain and power. Unlike the Greys, the Braithwaites use Vandalian gang to further their fruit, showing a willingness to deceive the betray. However, their methods, including the kidnapping of a child, demonstrates a deeper level of maliciousness intent than the Greys. In Chapter 4, the main villain is Andrew O'Bronte, which we will categorize as evil. Andrew O'Bronte is a powerful figure in Saint Denis, controlling various criminal enterprises with a mix of charm, cunning, and brutality. When Dutch and the gang arrive in Saint Denis, Bronte intentionally presents himself as an ally, offering information and assistance. However, this is purely self-serving, as he later uses and double-crosses the gang for his own gain, demonstrating his lack of loyalty and moral integrity. Bronte is also involved in exploiting children throughout the organized crime. He uses street kids for petty thefts and sends them on dangerous errands, profiting from them desperation and keeping them under his control. This exploitation reveals a deep lack of empathy and a willingness to use vulnerable individuals for profit. In Chapter 5, the RDR2 Chapter, there is only one major villain, which is Alberto Fusaro, which is a wealthy sugar plantation owner who effectively acts as a tyrant of RDR2, the Caribbean island where Arthur and a few other members of the Vandalin gang find themselves stranded. He rules over the island with an iron fist, using military force to maintain control of the local population. Fusaro's oppressive control of RDR2 is characterized by exploitation, violence, and brutal suppression of dissent. He profits from the labor and suffering of the local people, treating them as exponential resources to further his wealth and power. Fusaro responds to any threat to his rule with extreme brutality. When a local rebellion seeks to overthrow his oppressive regime, he uses his private army force to crush it. Showing no mercy, he views the rebellion as a threat to his power and responds with violence and cruelty, reflecting his tyrannical tendencies. Fusaro's alliance with the corrupt military forces allows him to maintain dominance over RDR2. He uses the military as a personal tool to enforce his rule, exploit the population, and eliminate those who challenge him. The alliance also shows his deep-seated corruption and moral bankruptcy, as he willingly uses state power to serve his own interests, which gives him the categorization as evil. And in Chapter 6 we have Michael Bell, the most hated villain throughout all the game. Michael Bell is one of the most looted characters in Red Dead Redemption 2 due to his complete lack of loyalty, empathy, and moral compass. From the moment he joins the Vandalin gang, he operates as a self-serving, ruthless opportunist, willing to betray, manipulate, and harm anyone to further his own interests. Unlike other gang members who demonstrate moments of loyalty, Common Rain or Juni Cure, Micah consistently seeks to turn a situation to his advantage, no matter the cost to others. Micah is responsible for one of the most significant betrayals in the game, secretly working with the Agent Milton and the Pinkertons throughout Chapter 6. He actively undermines Dutch leadership, fuels paranoia, and contributes to the gang's downfall by feeding information to the authorities. This betrayal not only futures the gangs, but leads to an enormous death and the ultimate collapse of their way of life. His actions reveal a deeply manipulative and treacherous nature, driven by greed and a desire to seize power and control. Micah frequently resorts to violence to get what he wants and shows no hesitation in killing or torturing others. He is notably brutal, cruel, and sadistic, taking pleasure in the suffering of others. Examples include his willingness to kill innocents and his complete disregard for human life. His sadism makes him undistractedly evil, as he goes beyond what is necessary for survival, often inflicting them harm simply because he enjoys it, which of course gives him the classifications of evil. Now we're gonna talk about Agent Milton and the Pinkertons. Agent Milton and the Pinkertons serve as the game's primary antagonists throughout the entire story. Their role as a government agent tasked with hunting down the Vandalin gang places them in a direct opposition to Arthur, Dutch, and their allies. While they ostensibly represent law and order, their methods reveal a more sinister motivation driven by control, power, and ruthless enforcement of the status quo. Milton in particular exemplifies the Pinkertons' willingness to use extreme violence, coercion, and manipulation to achieve their goals. He seeks out not only to capture the gang, but to destroy them, showing a relentless and vindictive determination. Milton's tactics often involve physical manipulation, intimidation, and deceit. He tries to turn Arthur by offering him a chance to betray Dutch, demonstrating a deep understanding of the gang's dynamics and willingness to exploit their weakness. Manipulation highlights his cunning and morally ambitious nature. While he claims to uphold the law, his methods reflect a darker side driven by power and control. While Milton and the Pinkertons are technically agents of the law, their brutal methods, willingness to exploit and manipulate, and lack of regard for human life place them firmly in the evil category. Their role as enforcers of the corrupt system, combined with their willingness to use any means necessary to achieve their goals, makes them a formidable and morally dark antagonist within the game's narrative. So yeah, that's gonna do it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.